the new Dave Gilmour song. I already forget the name of it now. It's
something.
I know
the Piper. Something with Piper.
Piper's Call or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the album's called Luck and Strange, and it's got some, like, apparently Steve Gadd plays some drums on the new album and everything. I'm looking forward to hearing that, because he very rarely brings a real drummer on board. It's usually very subdued, the drumming on his albums. But I was reading an interview with him yesterday about the producer, and I forget the name of the producer, but he's a guy that works with Alt J.
Wow, is he? I didn't get that. I got the thing that the producer. Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say about the producer, but I didn't realize he was the Alt J guy, because I love Alt J. I love Alt J.
Yes, Alt J is wonderful. Yeah, so he was talking about how it was refreshing that this guy didn't really care about Pink Floyd or David Gilmour. Yeah, like he had
That's right.
Yeah, he's not a fan of the music. Hasn't invested in it, and didn't treat David Gilmour like he was anybody different. There was no starstruck awe kind of stuff. So he treated Dave Gilmour like a client rather than a hero.
Yeah.
So that to me might be the reason why that song is the best David Gilmour song I've ever heard.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I thought, ooh, if the whole album's like this, but it doesn't come out for quite a while. Is it May, or is it? When does
September.
September, that's right. Yeah, it's a long way off. So we'll no doubt hear some more stuff. But the quote from Dave Gilmour when he was, obviously somebody was interviewing about it, was that the producer, whose name we can't remember, I'll put it in the show notes here. But he said, "Does there really have to be a guitar solo there?" Who would say that to Dave Gilmour? Dave, I don't want you to. This doesn't need a solo here. Probably Dave Gilmour has never heard that before the last person who would ever say that to him is Roger Waters, probably.
Yep, probably.
Dave, we don't need a solo here.
Yeah.
Can you imagine saying that to Dave Gilmour if you're working with him? God.
Exactly.
You'd be like, I would be the opposite. I would be, Dave, it's just do all solos. Just don't bother doing anything. Just do all solos. And in fact, I think that's what the Orb did when they did that album with him. Have you heard that? It's a dreadful album.
Yeah, I couldn't stand it.
It's called
Metallic Orbs or something. Shiny.
Metallic-y, shiny fucking colour orbs or something. It's terrible. So much stuff that the Orb have done has just been terrible, and that was so disappointing. It was like Dave Gilmour had sent them a cassette or something, and it just sounded, his tone was off, and it was awful. Yeah, but the new Dave Gilmour stuff, I think it could be. Could it be as good as Floyd? Could it be?
Well, this song on its own, I don't think stands up enough to say it's better than anything Floyd's done. Like, it's better than some Floyd songs. Mm-hmm. Like, there's some Floyd does have some weak stuff, especially pre Dark Side of the Moon. There was a lot of, take it or leave it kind of songs here and there. But we'll see as the album comes out as a whole. Now, is it better than Momentary Lapse of Reason and Division Bell? It could be very easily.
That track does sound better because it's not the same kind of thing. I mean, I think the latter Pink Floyd stuff, which I've actually listened to quite a lot now because I really hated it to begin with, but all of the sort of non-Roger Waters stuff, I have listened to it more, and as I get older, I begin to understand it a bit better. And but it's a kind of what was the last album called? Was The Endless River or something, or The Eternal River? Or
Endless River. Yeah,
Endless River, and that was like kind of like a great swan song, I suppose. It was like very relaxed and kind of flowing like a river, but very almost ambient in places, and very sort of and this is the opposite. This is raunchy and a little bit sort of, like you say, there's a proper drummer on there, and I think Nick Mason plays drums on one track. Is that right? Am I right? No, maybe he might. I haven't looked that far into it. As soon as I saw Steve Gadd's name, I just got excited and went, oh my god, I can't wait. Yeah, so maybe something to look forward to. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
And the thing, one of my best buddies, Drew, he's good at like hearing the problems with music. He's really good at, like, he could hear a beautiful album and in one sentence tear it apart. And what he did, we listened to The Endless River one time, and me and my friend were like in tears, like because we listened to it like the week it came out, and we did a proper like closed eye listening session, loud music in the dark room, And when it was over, we were like, oh my God, there's new Pink Floyd music out. I can't believe this. Because it was the first time I ever heard new Pink Floyd music when it was new for me, because I'm just was before my time, right? And my buddy Drew just goes, you know what I miss? I miss when Pink Floyd used to write songs. And that's what he said about the Endless River. And he's right. Like there's maybe one song on that record. The rest of it are just like soundscapes and abstract like expressions outside of that one song, which I think it's called like What We Do, or the song there's a song in there that's about Pink Floyd, about how like they sound better as a band than they sound apart.
Right.
I think it's called What We Do. I think it's what it was called. And I couldn't disagree with that. As soon as he said that, I went, "You're right." And then I went back and listened to it, and that's all I could hear was like, "You're right. These songs just sound half finished and half fleshed out."
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean it's not great. Like if I go to listen to the Endless River and expect it to be the Endless River, I'm satisfied. Like it's sonically it sounds great. Nick's drums sound better than they ever sounded. You know, like they sonically they punch. And he's doing some of those tom rolls I haven't heard him do since the pre-Dark Side of the Moon. You know. They get some of those unearthed Rick Wright piano parts that he recorded in the 90s that, you know, so Rick Wright's on that album that was made years after he died. That stuff is, that stuff's hard to not appreciate, you know, but, I have a hard time listening to it though, without thinking about Drew going like, you know, too bad these weren't songs.
Yeah. That was my sort of impression of it as well. Yeah. I'm with Drew on that one, I think, but, I must go and listen to that one again. Haven't listened to it for quite a while.
But yet, I think Division Bell is a masterpiece, but to me, it's not a Pink Floyd album. It sounds like a Roger Waters solo record where Nick Mason and Richard Wright showed up, you know, and kind of did their thing. Mm-hmm. And Momentary Lapse of Reason is even more so that way. Like it's a bunch of guest musicians, and I don't think Richard Wright even plays on the album. I think he played on the tour, but I don't think he actually appeared on the album, other than his photograph, I think. You know, so, but there's parts of it, like I don't care for the singles, like that Learning to Fly. I'd be happy if I never heard that song again, you know, but like Dogs of War, which I know has been considered the worst Pink Floyd song ever written, which is a bunch of horseshit. I think Dogs of War is a great song. I love that song. It was very timely too. Like a lot of that album sounded like, especially in hindsight, it sounds like they're trying to do an 80s album. Like it has a lot of the 80s vibe, but Dogs of War sounds like a Nine Inch Nails song to me. Like the repetitive, the dun, 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 dun. And like, and Dave's like letting loose, like the Dogs of War, like he's doing stuff you don't normally hear him do, you know. And I think Tony Levin plays bass in that song, and Carmen Appice plays drums. Like he's got some serious players in that song, you know. But Marooned off of Division Bell, like that's a guitar masterpiece, you know. And Pulls Apart, and there's a few tracks on that Division Bell record that just are timeless masterpieces, but they don't sound like Pink Floyd to me. And sometimes I get it. They use the Pink Floyd name more for financial reasons than for. That's
right. Yeah, I think that was definitely the case. I mean, I would have much preferred if Dave Gilmour had taken it forward without using the Pink Floyd name and just made another band or even just called it his solo stuff. You know, I'm just looking at the credits for. Oh God, I can't remember. A Momentary Lapse of Reason. I'm looking to see how they credit the players there, and it's Dave Gilmour and Nick Mason and additional personnel, Richard Wright. You know,
yeah.
But he's then credited as a full group member on the 2011 reissue. That's all just fucked up. That's just fucking hell. You know, it's not really Pink Floyd, is it? It's something else.
Well, on the reissue, they got rid of a lot of the synthesizers and brought in Hammond organ. So I think there was a time when Rick like played a version where he was doing like the way he would play it rather than the way it was done. And I think that was the version that got reissued because it sounds much better.
Is it remixed then? Was it remixed?
Well, remixed with different parts, like different. So instead of like,
I didn't know that.
So instead of hearing like a DX7, you're hearing a Rhodes, you know, or you're hearing a Hammond. You know?
I see it there. It was reissued again as part of the later years box set, updated and remixed by Gilmour and Jackson with restored contributions from Wright and newly recorded drum tracks from Mason. Guys, I didn't know that. Yeah. Is that now available as a separate sort of thing, or have you got to get it as part of that later years box set?
Yeah, I think you have to buy the box set to get it. I think they may have sold that album separately at some point because like Pink Floyd will sell you whatever you're willing to buy, which is another reason why I don't give them money anymore. Like I will not buy a new anything by Pink Floyd.